What is going on in the world today? Man, this is late, but I'm hoping someone can join me with this beautiful glass of red wine. How long is it gonna take to get our first viewer? All right, we got our first person up in here. Say your name. Show yourself. What's going on, guys? We got a couple people here. Don't mind just giving this thing a thumbs up. It's interesting because I'm doing this live stream in hopes of communicating to the big audience of people outside of North America. But who knows? Maybe there's North Americans here that are coming home from a party or whatever you guys are up to. I had half a glass of this stuff. Don't mix with nootropics. What are you up to tonight? If it's night. Otherwise, for most of you, it's probably Sunday afternoon. Sign Zal says, yo. Guys, this is a live stream. This isn't a seminar. Don't mind, just say something. This is anonymous. Don't worry if you make a comment. Your parents aren't going to see it. Unless, I think that's how it works with YouTube. It's like your name is disclosed. I don't even know who my subscribers are, by the way. But that's what, so. But someone say something like, what do you guys want me to talk about? Because I had this idea of say something. I'm noticing that a big challenge that I have with my nootropics channel is that there's obviously, when it comes to educating people, some people have a good base of knowledge with nootropics, whereas some people just don't know anything. And how do I communicate a message that's going to resonate with everybody in terms of taking somebody from ground up, from somebody who's never been exposed to nootropics? They probably have questions in their mind. They probably want to know, firstly, what is a nootropic? Why do people take nootropics? And are nootropics right for you? So I'm just kind of like thinking of either a series of videos or perhaps a playlist just to help people through that process, because nootropics, again, they made a big difference in my life, and I believe they can help everybody. And the channel sometimes gets hate because people say things like, you can just, if you are to exercise or if you're to practice mindfulness meditation, it would be better than taking nootropics. And I agree with that. But guys, if you're on this channel, then I'm working on the assumption that you're somewhat intelligent, and statements like that are kind of designed for people who cannot think. We understand that exercise, meditation is important, but particularly like nootropics that can give you that extra 20%. It's neat though. I was talking to somebody today, and they were saying how they were taking a particular prescription pill that helps with hair loss, and unfortunately, with prescriptions that are going to help you from preventing hair loss, they can essentially hurt your testosterone levels. So like, what's the solution there, right? So that was like an interesting challenge. In terms of, I'm not here to diagnose people in what's right or wrong. Just here to share some insight. But I'll talk to you about what I took today. I took some phenylpiracetam. I took some modafinil. I slept maybe 4 or 5 hours today. I took some lion's mane, some rhodiola, some bacopa. And some of the racetams, I'm out of aniracetam, so I should be making an order of that. What's up, guys? Mof Blaster, Amar Shayla, and Mof Blaster. Who else is up in here? Very cool though. I've never seen these 4 names. Guys, don't mind just giving this thing a like. Either there's nobody on at this time of the night, or everybody's out, or there's just people who've lost interest in the channel, which is all good. Sometimes you got to do this for your own enjoyment. Did I try racetam? Yes, I didn't like it as much as some of the other racetams, and that's same with colaracetam. With colaracetam, people like it for creativity, kind of like a calmness racetam, which is kind of strange because the racetams are, I find, more effective for like focus and concentration. I want to address an interesting question. Somebody asked me, what are your thoughts? The 6 of you who are on this thing, we got a nice intimate group, so don't you leave, I'll find you. Somebody asked me, what is a party nootropic? And I'm having a difficult time finding an answer to that, because what is a party nootropic? A party nootropic is like no nootropic, because with nootropics, the majority of them are going to somehow make you have better concentration or make you more focused, which is naturally going to lead you to be more productive in some way, shape, or form, which means that by taking nootropics, unless you really want to be like the life of the party and meet a lot of people at some sort of event, why take nootropics? It's just like no nootropic is the best. Arguably, some people say that phenibut might be good in terms of just helping you with anxiety and calmness, but I don't really think so. Mucana is a party nootropic. It's high energy. It's not that chill though. It's high energy. It's good mood, kind of like alpha. Like when I'm in party mode, I mean, if I'm at a party, I just want to feel so relaxed. I want to feel almost in a different space. Like, when you're watching a movie, I was just watching a Hindi movie. What was it called? Something with Hrithik Roshan, and you're able to go into a different world. And when you're in a different world, it's cool. You can just associate different things together and, come back and have different perspectives and stuff. Somebody says, phenibut, phenylprastam, L-tyrosine, ECGC. What about them? Oh, are you talking about the party nootropic? ECGC, guys, has anybody actually noticed taking green tea extract and as a result having signs of lower testosterone levels? Because I don't know if this is a real thing or just a stupid, article that's put out there sometimes. I didn't notice anything really from it. Phenibut, I took 1.4 or 1.5 grams today, just really out of curiosity, not like, this stuff, I swear I'm a non-responder to it, but still mindful of it. And L-tyrosine, I'm seeing L-tyrosine is pretty much put in like every nootropic stack that is out there. There's, again, Alpha Brain, Quailiamine, Mind Lab Pro. There was one called like Energy Lab. So L-tyrosine is kind of like the nootropic that almost everybody can benefit from, and it's partially probably because it's one of the safer ones. Again, this is like an amino acid, right? And Sign Zale. I don't know if you had a question with that when you just listed those 4 nootropics. But yeah, I've been awake for like 17, 18 hours and I'm feeling pretty good. Let me know if I'm off. We're all welcome to be off. What's up, brother? Hey, Amar with Alpha GPC. Don't know if that was a question. I'm catching up with the comments now. But yeah, Sign says, but yeah, alcohol is an anti-nootropic unless you have a fancy-ass alcohol stack that you use hella before you drink, like Paul and the people at ND. Paul, oh, is he the guy at ND? Okay, nice guy. I like ND. They're a good group. Sign, is it an anti-nootropic? What the heck is an anti-nootropic? A nootropic is kind of subjective. It's something which can improve you cognitively. If you use alcohol in some way, shape, or form to get some sort of benefit, which I can imagine people could do, then you can argue it's a nootropic. People seem to like feel this afterglow kind of good hangover effect sometimes when they drink a lot. Just, shift of perspective, almost like, taking, I don't want to say it. Sign says, I wouldn't use nootropics at a party either, but there's definitely plenty of good stuff like reishi, spore oil, and all that. I don't even know anything about that. ECGC plus tyrosine is the shit, provided that you probably are taking it fasted and you're not taking too much ECGC. Yo, happy Sunday, Mike. Generous Jax, what are you up to? I'm kind of curious to know what time is it wherever you're at? Jen Jax is from Singapore, and I think a couple of you are probably from India. We got like 12% of my viewers are from India. 45% of the viewers are from America. I don't know if anyone cares about this, but I'll just say it because I'm kind of curious too. I think it's like 45% US, 20% UK, then it's India, and then it's like Canada, Australia, different places in Asia. There's a few countries in the Middle East. Mexico, not as many as I would expect. Brazil getting more and more. France, Europe. But what's, again, tricky is just what nootropics, are people able to get in different areas. So, yeah, I'm kind of talking to myself. Your opinion on PEA, Mof Blaster. PEA, more so like a good euphoric effect. A lot of people like the euphoric kind of overconfident feeling that you can get from Adderall, this is somewhat relatable. It's not completely there, but the magic happens with PEA if you are to mix it with L-tyrosine and caffeine, similar to having yohimbine, but yohimbine is just stronger and it can do some funny things when it comes to like your blood pressure and just feeling fatigue. That's how PEA is kind of practically used, but again, it's more so just a nootropic people are curious about, which is why they get it. And once they get it and they've satisfied their curiosity, then they're good and they don't get it again, which is why, again, it's only really talked about by people who are curious about it. And if anything, just go and get it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Guys, with these nootropics, I mean, just ask me about them, but most of them are pretty damn safe. I take so many things, and somebody asked, or I often get the question of like, yo, bro, how do you take so many pills? Great question. Good being conservative, but just keep in mind and understand the difference really between like a stimulant and something which is somewhat like a naturally occurring nootropic, if that makes sense. No, I was just saying for party nootropics. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, so it's kind of like the things you wouldn't take for a party. The racetams, maybe aniracetam for the social benefit. I wouldn't take L-tyrosine. I may take caffeine, depending really how I'm feeling, because caffeine is kind of hit or miss sometimes, just depending on what to expect. If it's a shorter party, yeah, maybe caffeine is good. But if it's something longer, some sort of event, then no. Alcohol, yeah, nice to kind of play with. Anything which can really improve your focus is going to naturally have some sort of crash in most cases. So with the exception of like Noopept, I wouldn't take that. More like Lion's Mane. Lion's Mane is a really good party tool, vacation tool. I mentioned that about Lion's Mane. Just something I like about it is it's one nootropic, like, take it 365 days a year. Like, I mean, there was, the first couple months when I got this bad boy here named Onyx, this was, when did I get him? July 2018. I was like taking like 6 weeks off of work. And I just was taking Lion's Mane and I was just enjoying. I definitely noticed it working just as terms of understanding, how to bring up the dog. I knew nothing about dogs. So just getting really familiarized with that whole process. It's like Lion's Mane can to some extent speed up your learning. When I was learning languages before, I learned a bit of Mandarin, not a lot. From a scale of 1 to 3, from a scale of 1 to 10, I was probably with Mandarin like a 2 or a 3. Lion's Mane helped there, similar to Bacopa, but with that a lot, you got to just pay attention to what is going to compromise you when it comes to productivity and of course, motivation. And with ashwagandha, Lion's Mane, and Bacopa, just be mindful of that. Not that they can hurt your motivation too much, but I would encourage you, if you're on it, take it out of your stack, put it in your stack. And yeah, don't mind if I'm hella distractible right now because there's not enough comments here. So I'm just making really long answers and hoping that you guys find this somewhat helpful. Yo, I notice fatigue when I take L-tyrosine. Have you noticed this effect on you before? Yes, Neil, again, this is, Neil, tell me a little bit more about your diet, because the times in which I find L-tyrosine most effective are specifically when I'm fasted. Like you wake up after maybe a couple hours, haven't eaten anything. Dana, shh, thank you. I've tried kratom and it's, Neil, tell me a bit about your diet. Are you high carb? Are you low carb? This tyrosine, when I mix it with the meal, it can act a little bit funny. Mof Blaster says they're at 9:35 a.m. I'm gonna just randomly guess you're not in Philippines. You're probably, I don't know, somewhere a bit closer. Pardon my unfamiliarity with geography. By the way, I won the geography award in high school. One of my proudest accomplishments of life. Yeah. But probably just because I watched soccer and was familiar with flags. Amar says, I've tried kratom and it's so good for mood and energy plus euphoria. Amar, people often ask me about kratom. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about kratom as the reviews have pretty much just scared me about it more so than the pros for the most part. Kelvin says, how long can I take paracetam safely before cycling it? Kelvin, paracetam is probably like really safe. I would say, 6 weeks on, 1 or 2 weeks off, like something like that. Maybe 5 weeks on. Depends really how you respond to it. With most people, they don't even know piracetam is working. And if you notice piracetam working, then that's a really good sign that you are likely to notice other nootropics in the future. So this is cool. And this is great. I wasn't expecting 18 people on this thing and we got 19 now. Guys, don't mind giving this thing a like and dropping your question, because my intention is for everybody here to have some, that can walk away from this little chat thing saying this was a good use of time, and that will inspire me to make more of these. Sup, bro? Talk, sir. What is up? Sinzil says, have you tried the dynamine caffeine / theacrine combo yet? I apologize, I don't remember what dynamine is, but with caffeine and theacrine, yes, almost by accident, because theacrine is in several pre-workouts. I mean, more of like a mental stimulant than a physical stimulant. It's okay, kind of overrated. Tos, glad you put on it on the post. Scam product. I wouldn't say scam product. I apologize if the video kind of came out that way. Keep in mind, with the people on my channel, I'm working under the assumption that not everybody's making 6 figures, so I have to be mindful of everyone's budget. And just because of that, that was why I gave the video a thumb down, was because it's a $60, $70 product, and you spend half the money and you can get a much more effective stack, in my opinion. Do you still use green magnitude creatine, and what are the pros and cons of using it? Oh, good question. Big drip only? No, I don't actually. I'm not using creatine right now because, you know what? I can't take my training, my workouts too seriously because I just don't have a gym, and I'm just way smaller. Like I mean, I have like some cuts, but it's just like everything's harder, So because of that, I'm really not going too hard on supplements, on protein. In essence, all that. But when I'm more intentful on it, then I'll start taking green magnitude. I'm still taking a pre-workout, but it's almost like you can, if you are to treat this, time out of the gym as a deload, then it's good because we can all go back to the gym, provided that we haven't gotten ourselves in bad shape, and just build a whole lot of muscle. If you're unfamiliar with the deload phase, that basically is for somebody that is somewhat trained. So if you're, weight training, for example, 4, 5, 6 times a week, then occasionally it's good to just take a week off or lower your volume or weights, and you can kind of treat this period like that. So with respect to green magnitude, most people won't know what it is. So for the 17 of you here, somebody asked about green magnitude creatine. What green magnitude is just a brand. This particular creatine product is a blend of a few different types of creatine, and it also has some ingredients like it has L-tyrosine, and it has, I think, citrulline malate. So what creatine is going to specifically do for you is I think the most noticeable thing for people is a slight increase in energy, and it will help you with any symptoms you may have of being sleep deprived. So when you're sleep deprived, things like your memory isn't working properly, and mood. Memory and mood, I think, are the two things which are hurt most, you can say, with being in a sleep deprived state. So that's where creatine can kind of help. And what green magnitude is, it's like a creatine blend. It tastes great, which is obviously good. And then it has some L-tyrosine and some citrulline malates, which is going to help you essentially with performance and your workout. So you can take it before your workout or after your workout. Essentially just helps getting your creatine saturated into your system. And pros are just pretty much that. I noticed I immediately just got a lot bigger when I took green magnitude about a week ago. If you guys see that video, I look like different. I was bigger, maybe like 9-10% body fat. So definitely good for getting in shape. As far as cons of taking it, only if you don't respond well to creatine. What are the cons of taking creatine? You get a bit of moon face. If you're somebody that just carries water in their face, you get a bit of that kind of like bloated look. Another thing with creatine, one downside of creatine is that you will naturally need to increase your water intake. With creatine, it's me personally, when I'm on creatine, if I don't drink water like once every 45 minutes, I'm feeling like irritable, just anxious. So I didn't like that too much, especially being in a job where I need to be out and about. So that is my long answer to green magnitude. Neil says my diet is relatively clean. Neil, I was more so just curious to know about the frequency of which you eat meals. Are you eating 4 times a day, 5 times a day, 3 times a day? Because with L-tyrosine, it's just like the longer you are fasted, it's almost like the more effective this stuff is to work. And if you're feeling lethargic or energy, like low on energy, likely it's because you just had a very small dose, or there's some interesting things happening with respect to like caffeine intake. Calvin says, my lucid dreaming is very high on piracetam. That's actually believable. It happens with some people. It's methylbrine. It's the other thing. This is the new one. Headache from modafinil is gone when taking piracetam. Calvin, I think the modafinil headaches are, I thought I understood them. I don't understand them, because there's some nootropics which can just take them away. I used to think it was only water and alpha GPC or choline which could fight it, but sometimes you have it and it just doesn't even fix it. So again, like the headache with modafinil is almost similar to caffeine in that we're going to go through all the trial and error and just figure this out. But I'm fortunate that I haven't had like a bad modafinil headache in a while. And I took 150 milligrams of modafinil today, although my last dose was probably like 13 hours ago. So who knows whether it's still in my system in an amount that is effective. But man, I got so many questions. Like, should I start taking modafinil? Should I start taking modafinil? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I need to know more about you. Seinzel says, as soon as I tried all three together, I understood why theacrine is good. Well, how do you know it's just the theacrine? Although you sound somewhat observant of your state. Tulsir, 89 cents a pill. Yeah, that's a good point. I also noticed this. Neil says, I noticed this with phenylalanine way back. Self-tests show that I have high dopamine levels naturally. So maybe pushing it overboard may have an opposite effect. Yeah, there's more to it than just dopamine. There's serotonin. There's almost like sometimes with supplements, it can raise your dopamine and decrease your serotonin. So you may want to add some 5-HTP to raise the serotonin to some extent. It's, yeah, that's interesting. It's just kind of like irritability. You got to keep in mind, it's an amino acid. Sometimes that can happen. It's really not for everyone. L-tyrosine is more for like somebody that just finds themselves kind of, finds themselves getting fatigued easier than somebody else would, you can say. So somebody can typically work, like an 8-hour shift, but then there's the person beside them who gets really like tired and angry after 5 or 6 hours. The L-tyrosine is most likely going to work for them. Ovidiu says, hello, Mike, you can't sleep. Man, I can sleep damn well, but it's the power of napping and the power of meditation. No, I'm just joking. I don't know what it was, but I had a really good leg workout today. I hate working out legs. Not that I hate it. I mean, I know people who hate it and they really just dread it. I don't dread it. Like I don't look forward to it, but when I'm done it, oh my gosh, I just had the greatest day ever. People often ask me, how do you stop procrastinating? Or I have all these ideas in my head and I don't know what to execute. Get a workout routine. It'll be a game changer. Just stick with it. Get some sort of accountability in place. Don't overcommit. Like, don't make the commitment to 1 hour a day. You're not going to do it. Commit to something like 20 minutes 4 times a week. Have some accountability. Like, if you don't meet your jogging partner, you got to pay them $10. Keep it consistent. You'll be executing. You'll be in your head a whole lot less, because my life in all these areas was so much better when I started exercising versus prior. Julius says, Julius Van Dyke. What a name. I just took some Fasoracetam. Do you have an opinion on it? Yes. I'll keep it brief because somebody asked earlier. It didn't do too much for me. It's a lesser popular racetam, you can say. My opinion basically on it is that it's such that it can help you focus and help you like somewhat be more creative in some ways, but it's, in essence, it's not a nootropic that I can see myself using, because it doesn't go nicely. It doesn't have a nice like synergistic effect with the other racetams. Whereas like I can tell when I'm using piracetam and aniracetam together, it's doing something very well. Whereas if I just take out all my racetams and I use fasoracetam, I can tell it's working, but it's not like it makes my other racetams work more effectively. If that makes sense. So opinion on it is just people get fasoracetam because they're curious, and then they don't really seem to buy it again. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. Harish Tirunahari. I really enjoy attempting to pronounce some of your names. I mean, provided that you're spelling them all correctly. It's nice to see, like, If you haven't been to Toronto, you will find every skin color, race, language, nationality. It's really just a beautiful place. I mean, they use the quote melting pot. I don't really know I didn't know what that term means, but it is just really cool. So, best nootropic to use for ADHD and depression. There are two different things. I can talk about ADHD in terms of focus. Get rid of anything which, I mean, falls under that category of like something you get from a doctor, like Concerta, Adderall, Ritalin. Unless you've tried everything, then of course speak to your GP about them. But as far as like replacements for them, I hate to say it, but first thing, it's probably going to be diet. So experiment with different diets, specifically carbohydrate intake, low carb, high carb, try keto just to see how you feel on it. And if anything, raise your fat intake, specifically like saturated fats. If you're not eating meat, this is important. So perhaps some eggs, or again, be intentful on just getting like 30% at least of your fats from saturated fat sources. Beyond that, as far as nootropics, caffeine, see how you respond. Something like an extended release could be good. L-tyrosine could be good too. And rhodiola rosea, I really like those. And perhaps if those don't work, then you can play with Noopept and the racetams, but they just, the racetam is more kind of, they will kind of like change your behavior more so than help you with ADHD, if that makes sense. Though like the racetams have this ability to make you really improve your work ethic, whereas ADHD, it's almost like your immediate just focus in what's in front of you and decrease overall distractibility. Tokera says, what was your huperzine 1% dose? I haven't bought it by itself in so long that I actually do not remember, so I apologize, but it was whatever the suggested dose is. I hate to say that, but like, for example, with rhodiola rosea, like the recommended dose is something like 300 milligrams, right? And I want to just take the time to say I appreciate all of you guys. We've hit 5,000 subscribers, and I'm glad to know there's 4,999 people out there that are, kind of crazy like I am in terms of biohacking, learning more about yourself, attempting to improve performance, even by means which are somewhat uncomfortable. And we have a fight. Like, it's almost like we're fighting everyone around us, and the constant questioning of why are you taking that stuff, and just kind of having that intuition, that faith in yourself that these things can work. Because I felt like that, and it's just nice, having like comrades like you all. So I appreciate your support as always. Just watching the videos or commenting or giving it a like. Yeah. Have you taken Modvigil, Art, Kalanu Blue? Have you taken Modvigil, Artvigil, Wake Alert, or Mode Alert off the off-brand modafinil without prescription? I don't remember the names. I tried 2 of them, and they did. I will say they did work similarly, better than adrafinil. Almost, it felt like an underdosed version of modafinil, and I'm like 80% sure that that's what it is, because it didn't feel much different. It just felt like a different dose. Is adrafinil like Adderall? I've never tried Adderall, so I don't really think it's too right to talk about Adderall too much because I've never tried it. But because I've taken Concerta and Ritalin, I can kind of imagine what it's like, and just in terms of the focus, the concentration, the appetite suppression, the engagement, the depersonalization, just being overly focused. But almost importantly is the euphoria and the overconfidence you get, the excitement you get, the enthusiasm you get. That really can't be replaced through something like adrafinil, but you do get a bit of that mood uplift. That's something which I like about modafinil. With modafinil, you can turn a very crappy day into a good day. So if you were just dreading a day, for example, what that looks like for me in a practical sense is because I sell houses, if I have to go to a particular house, which is quite far away, but I know the meeting will pay like very well. If there's $20,000 commission check there, if I go there and make a presentation, I mean, of course, it's not easy to look forward to that day. You got to go out, prepare your presentation, do it. Something like modafinil, you're just in a good state, and yeah. So that's kind of like the practical way in which I use it. It's not even like modafinil helps me too much with performance, but if you're in a better mood, it helps you perform. So with adrafinil, I think the only reason why adrafinil could be a good use as a nootropic is if you're curious to know what modafinil feels like, because adrafinil is pretty much the closest thing. Is it like Adderall? It can help you when it comes to ADHD, symptoms, just in terms of maintaining attention, concentration with something. But no, because with adrafinil, you don't kind of get like the energy you do with Adderall. Maybe pramiracetam, Sarah says maybe pramiracetam and adrafinil stack will resemble Addy. Yeah, you can say so. With pramiracetam, some people notice it a lot more than others, and that's going to be the unfortunate reality when it comes to the racetams. So sometimes they're super effective. Sometimes, I mean, with some people, pretty much not. Meditation nootropics that you would like to recommend to engage in this process. Karen Singh, I'm glad you answered that question because I remember at the end of our last live stream, you asked that question, but the stream was ending, so I couldn't answer you. So Karen Singh's asking what nootropics can help you with meditation. Lion's mane and ashwagandha, but I've noticed that they don't really help too much because depending on what type you have, some of them can be slightly stimulating, and again, this varies from person to person. If you find them stimulating in one shape or form, then don't take them prior to a meditation session. But it's almost like taking ashwagandha and lion's mane for a couple of weeks will therefore afterwards make your meditation and your mindfulness practice just more effective. As far as like the acute effect, if you notice anything from it, then I would stay away from it. There's a few nootropics which I just cannot meditate with, like phenylpiracetam. Not a chance. I can't. It's almost like you just cannot. Like, why do we meditate? It's to lower the number of thoughts we have, raises your vibration, just improves your ability to connect with people. Phenylpiracetam, even a dose like 50 milligrams, I can't meditate because I like to meditate first thing in the morning, but I also like taking phenylpiracetam first thing in the morning, and it's just not practical. How come you don't mention Mucana pruriens for ADHD and depression? It's actually great for oh, sorry, there's questions above that. What are your thoughts on magnesium L-threonate? It's good stuff. I'm not against it. I mean, if you're supplementing with it, when it comes to like natural nootropics and such, there's different things over here. Vitamin D is like a must. Vitamin D, fish oil, calcium, zinc in some cases. Magnesium is pretty important too. So it's just a question of what fits your budget. Best nootropic for rumination and persecution complex. I need that question in layman's terms. I'm not as smart as you think I am. Is it necessary to cycle adaptogens? Great question, Fabi. Like it's always a good idea to cycle with them, but I mean, if you don't, it's not a big deal. If you go 3 months taking lion's mane, bacopa, ashwagandha, rhodiola rosea, it's not that bad. I hate to say it, but that's just the reality. I mean, it's not like you're going to take it 3 times a day anyway. People miss doses for whatever reason, or you go out for the weekend, you don't bring your nootropics, right? So I've really not noticed anything from cycling off of them, yet I do it from the proportion, like from I think June 15th to June 30th, I went off of all the adaptogens you can say, except for rhodiola rosea. That one I find the hardest to pretty much cycle off. Recommend is 100 micrograms, but it worked for me at 200 micrograms. Very cool. So Sarah, I did try it at a number of different doses. I'm open to trying it again. Phenylpiracetam versus armodafinil. What's the difference? Oh my gosh, I love that question. What is the difference? There's so many differences. Okay, phenylpiracetam more so. Phenylpiracetam is more so like a physical stimulant. So what that looks like in essence is you will find yourself having more physical energy than you know what to do with. I'm talking things like vacuuming the house, washing dishes, reorganizing like all your office files. These things are very easily done on phenylpiracetam, whereas with armodafinil, it's like you can almost argue more cerebral, more like, you want to use your higher faculties, you can say, to some extent. It really helps you with sleep deprivation. So they're both good. I just personally, I find phenylpiracetam more stimulating, and I find that armodafinil is less stimulating, more just in terms of helps you fight off sleep, like a sleep deprived state, and a very like jitter free, energetic state, which sounds really good, and that's what it is. But it didn't. I don't really think that armodafinil made me as productive as I would have been on phenylpiracetam, you can say. Harish says, guys, I am noticing that I'm answering questions and people are not letting me know if I answer their questions or not. Do you still take Wellbutrin? I've been taking it for 2 weeks and I haven't really noticed too much of a difference in terms of the mood. How long did you take it for it to become effective for you? Harish, talk to your GP. This is something for them. After a week, I went to my GP and I said, yo, this stuff does not work. And they said, give it time. And I said, I've given it time. Everything works on me, but this stuff doesn't. And it does. But again, you need some objective way to measure it. You need to, I mean, talk to them, increase your dose, right? What can I say? Can I take Prami, Ani, Oxy, and Prastam all together? Yes, that's my stack typically. What nootropic would you say would be best to help get things done? The JP stream, let me know if you're still on because I want to tackle your question here at the same time. For getting things done, because the JP stream, eat healthy and leave those substances, to which I don't think you exercise either. So to both of you, it's like in terms of getting things done, any nootropic which is going to help you exercise is a game changer. In terms of just when you exercise, the speed in which you can go from idea to execution is like that. And again, just that story I mentioned before, on like a day when I work out legs, I'm just so hyped up the whole day. I'm so energetic and just get so much done. It's just simple. So that is what it is about. So in terms of getting stuff done, Avery, I have, I don't know where it is. Just write this down on your wall with a big Sharpie marker, or get like a big Sharpie, or print it out like these things and just write down. Keep things super, super simple. Keep things super, super simple. Never forget that. Do you have your third eye open? I don't know what that means. If you're referring to that pressure feeling you get when you meditate a lot, then yes. What nootropics makes you more outgoing and sociable? Harish, you increase your, like, if you increase your general like motivation that much, you're willing to do anything. And if that means get social and get uncomfortable and call people who you haven't, like call your old high school friend who you haven't talked to in 5 years, you'll just do it. And these are kind of experiences will just help you grow and make you more outgoing and more sociable, because at the end of the day, you just don't care about what's the worst, you know, like what's the worst consequence that can really happen. JP stream, eat healthy and leave those substances. I'm going to disregard that because I already addressed that. It's like 1 o'clock a.m. where I'm at. So Josh William, you must be somewhere in the Pacific time zone. Yo, have you tried thiazoltridine? No, I have not. And you seem to ask me about some pretty interesting, less known nootropics. All right, Big Drip Only says, I'm making a list to buy a bunch of newts: lion's mane, bacopa, alpha GPC, ashwagandha, aniracetam, tribulus, rhodiola, and lastly L-carnitine. I would like to know what would be most essential to have. Of those, L-carnitine, I don't notice anything from, so I would drop that if it were me. But if some people respond well to it, if you practice intermittent fasting, and then yeah, maybe it could be helpful. And tribulus and aniracetam, probably not that effective. Tribulus, it's almost like you'll only notice it working if you're low testosterone or you're like mid to low levels. So if you've not had like a blood test done, I don't really think it's necessary. But I would say with tribulus, if you do get it from Now Foods. The Now Foods brand is the only one which personally has worked for me. The other, I've tried so many different forms, didn't do anything for me. And lion's mane, bacopa, it's good stuff. Alpha GPC is good. Ashwagandha, good. Okay, in order, it would be like this: rhodiola, alpha GPC, rhodiola, alpha GPC. This is me personally. Aniracetam, lion's mane, bacopa, ashwagandha, tribulus, and then yeah, L-carnitine, maybe ashwagandha. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and experiences. I'm happy to do so, and I'm just happy to be of contribution and connect with you guys. I'm loving lion's mane mushroom 8-to-1 dual extract. That's super good to know. Great. Have you noticed that alpha GPC is great for recovery? Sorry, Jen Jax, I missed your question. Generous Jax asks, read a few articles about ashwagandha working well with black pepper for absorption. Did you find any difference? Jen Jax, I talked about this on one of my ashwagandha videos or on what I think it was the video top 5 nootropics for stress and anxiety. Yes. I thought we talked about this, but if we didn't, it's cool. Jen Jackson, just let me know if this makes sense. So yes, when it comes to black pepper and ashwagandha, these two ingredients are often combined in one product. Right now, if you look up ashwagandha, for example, on Amazon, it's just very often sold like that. There's some ashwagandha, there's some black pepper extract, or some different name, like a synonym of black pepper extract, because there's some articles and there's some research showing that black pepper can essentially help you with the absorption of nootropics. Like the practical way of doing this, just sprinkle some black pepper in your food. But what I found with maybe 40, 50, maybe 30, 40% of people, they don't respond that well to that form of ashwagandha and black pepper extract. Some people feel a bit of like a little bit of stomach upset. So because of that, I would only use it if, ashwagandha is not doing anything for you or if you're not reacting well to it. But there's been a good number of people across this channel that have not responded well to that product, like to an ashwagandha product, to which I responded to them, are you taking ashwagandha with black pepper? They said yes. And I said, why don't you try dropping that product because it has black pepper, just take the ashwagandha by itself. And immediately it seemed to just have fixed just to fix that. And then they were getting all the nice benefits of ashwagandha without the stomach upset or uncomfort that they felt. It's stupid question. How old are you, bud? It's not a stupid question. It's cool. I'm 28 years old, September 4th, 1991. Josh William, have you noticed alpha GPC is great for recovery after working out? No. That's a good question. I take so much of it. I've not gone a lot of days without taking alpha GPC that I can't really tell if it's doing much. With respect to recovery, because I'm training like 5 to 6, probably 6 to 7 days a week, even if it's just like a sprint or a few sprints or high intensity interval training. The signs of bad recovery are typical soreness, which I don't really get too much, so can't really provide you with good insight that way. Your opinion on acetylcholine, pure form of acetylcholine. Some people respond well to it. I like alpha GPC more, but ideally, if you can use both of them, like they've done in Quail Mine, then it's some good stuff. I first started with choline bitartrate, then acetylcholine, also known as CDP choline, and then alpha GPC, and I just found it gets better that way. I think Josh William, acetyl L-carnitine is great. I've gotten a lot of mental energy from it. I have a lot of theories behind acetyl L-carnitine and for what kind of people it may work for. So maybe I will shoot a video on that because I don't want to just discount it and say it's a bad nootropic, because it's not. There's evidence showing that it can help you with utilizing fat as fuel. Apparently is really good for intermittent fasting, but for people who are kind of like already lean, don't have that much fat to lose, just in terms of like good insulin sensitivity, not too sure if it's that effective. It's more so like acetyl L-carnitine mixing with other nootropics. There used to be this thing before, and it's like acetyl L-carnitine mixed with alpha lipoic acid being very effective, and that whole conversation or idea is just dropped entirely. So it's really cool how like nootropics it's pretty trendy. Man, this guy's so tired. I'm at big drip only's question. Guys, don't mind just giving this thing a thumbs up so we can get to 20, please. It would be helpful. Just click the thumb, scroll down on your phone or wherever. It should just be there. Or if anything, just click the down, because if you click the down, it still counts as engagement, so I don't really mind. Big Drip Only says, I'm 15 and your information really helps me out. Love the information, dedication. You have to keep it up. Oh my gosh, 15 years old. Is that even allowed? Wow. Good on you for being observant and my advice for you, my biased advice would be to stick to one channel when it comes to nootropics, because if you go to every different channel out there, just follow somebody, even if it's not me, because we're gonna differ a lot in our opinions, our stacks. Some things we're gonna believe in, some not, right? So just in terms of my intention with everything I talk about, I try to take a very, obviously honest and unbiased approach. And if you feel like I'm communicating things otherwise, then let me know and confront me on it. Damon Dibbett says, is oxirastam plus phenylprastam plus alpha GPC a good learning stack? No, that's more like a good executional stack. Like when you say learning stack, I take it like things I would take if I was going to college, or if I was going to like a 1 week seminar. That's very different than me going to like a boot camp, like a sales boot camp where I'm just making calls. Whereas that stack you just made is more like the execution stack, oxyrastam, phenylprastam plus alpha GPC. Especially if you were to add Nupep to that stack, that's the stack of just getting things done, like massive action. Whereas when it comes to like learning stack, no, I think it's more to it than that. I would drop the phenylprastam. You can leave the oxyrastam, add prastam, add bacopa, and add lion's mane. But prastam, it's pretty clear that there's some good benefit when it comes to memory and just overall like drive to want to study in the first place. Let me know if that was helpful, Damon. Henry says, I used to think modafinil was a sugar pill for me. However, after I ran out for a couple of days, I definitely noticed the difference between taking it and not taking it. Mood is the number one thing that I can notice. Critcher Hayes, what's the perfect stack for college students? I already have alpha GPC and lion's mane, but I think I need something for more focus. Critcher Hayes, don't mind just letting me know what's working for you so far as a student, because then I can just further elaborate. It's almost like there's almost like 4 or 5 different paths with nootropics. From speaking to somebody, if I know what's working for them or what's not working for them, then I think in some cases, not to brag, but I could pretty much give you a few good nootropics to try out, and they'll likely work for you. For example, if you notice something from prastam, then you're likely to notice good results taking like Nupept and probably pramarastam. Whereas if you don't take prastam, it's completely different. Similarly, if you were to respond to something like lion's mane, then there's nootropics that way, which I know which you're likely to respond to as well. Of course, you want to take nootropics that we can tell are working in some shape or form and objective, ideally. This is Jaden from Mumbai. Jaden, hello. How are things in Mumbai with respect to COVID? I'm curious. Phenylprastam versus anurastam, what's your view? Very, very different. It's like comparing coffee and tea. They're both served. They're maybe a bad example. They're both served as a beverage. It's a hot drink, but very different. Phenylprastam, very stimulating, good for exercise, but also good when it comes to just work on your feet, getting things done, being in a high energetic state. Whereas anurastam, not really like more energy, but more so just a more directed energy, being more intentful, being more focused, being able to better connect with people. Haha, you look way younger. I know, I look way younger than 28, but I guess it's a good thing. I mean, all things being considered, I kind of enjoy it. It's like when I speak to people, especially in the sales context of like being this young, I'm competing with people who are 40 in most cases. I think the average real estate agent in my city is like between 40 and 45. So can you just imagine me, like I'm this young guy, 18, who looks like he's 15 years old, and I'm competing with this 43-year-old person. I have to be damn good in my presentation because this other person has so many advantages over me in terms of they look like they're more experienced, right? What does this young kid know? So because of that, it's a gift in that I've just had to work so much on my mindset, my social skills, ability to read people. Man, nootropics have helped me so much. It just gets me excited thinking about it. Hey, Mike, after a quick search, I think you've never addressed maca. Any knowledge to share? Victor, it's because I've not really used it consistently too much. With maca, most people seem to take it for testosterone, feeling better, generally just more healthier. So don't really have too much to say about it. I've noticed that I've been recovering faster while taking the alpha GPC. Josh William, what does that mean? Does that mean you feel less sore? Or does that mean you can get into your next workout easier? Bacopa is actually powdered form of Brahmi leaves. Oh, I'm sorry, Harish. Kelvin, I'll get to your comment. Damon, thanks for your great advice. You're very welcome, Josh William. Okay, I see your comment now with respect to recovery. Critisher Haste, thanks for that. I only use lion's mane. Guys, like the rest of you, if you haven't made a comment yet, please do just drop a comment on this thing. Okay, thanks for that. Avery says it's modafinil nootropic. Big bag 747, not good. How long does pramarasam usually last? Should you cycle every? Okay, cool. I've got a good grasp of the questions. Now I'm going to go ahead and answer them. Calvin says bacopa is actually powdered form of brahmi leaves used for memory from ancient times in India. Yeah, very cool. I'm gonna make a video soon on like natural nootropics from India, because a lot of the general fans, I think, like I mentioned before, maybe 10 or 11% of the audience on the channel is from India, and they're like, a lot of people ask me about, talk more about nootropics that we can get over here, which I mean, I completely respect that. I think that's a very fair request. But there wasn't a question there. Where do you get phenylpiracetam in India? This is why you guys want to be on the Patreon, because I'm trying to create that community there where like you can talk to the other Harish or whomever you're asking. Because unfortunately with YouTube, it's like you cannot just directly message somebody, which kind of sucks. Josh Williams says, I work out 5 times a week, 1 or 2 hours a day, strength training. I think alpha GPC has had a big effect on my recovery. Yeah. Okay, thanks for that, Chris. I used Lion's Mane and Alpha GPC. From Lion's Mane, I noticed not that much, but Alpha GPC works good for me. Yeah, Lion's Mane, you'll notice it if you're working a lot. Like for most people, they can go back in time and remember a time when they were like working almost to their fullest capabilities. Usually that case, if you were like a student and you were working like part-time job at the same time, I think that's pretty much the worst for most people. That's kind of the time when you want to be taking Lion's Mane, and you'll likely notice it working, because you'll notice almost like an immediate drop of anxiety, kind of detachment to the process, just overall good feeling, good vibes, some calmness. But otherwise, Lion's Mane, yeah, arguably it's kind of hard to notice working. How long is modafinil a nootropic, or do you have to, Avery, that question about do you have to get it? I mean, that doesn't mean it's not a nootropic. So the question basically is, it is a over the counter? No, you have to get it, speak to a GP and get it, unfortunately or fortunately. Josh William, how long does pramrastam usually last? For me, like 3 or 4 hours. That's if I take a lot of it, but I think with the rastams, I wouldn't say, like, you almost to some extent build a tolerance with it. So it's a little bit tricky. With that, especially when you're using caffeine, it just makes it harder to tell if it's working. Pramrastam, it's really not for everybody. It's almost like the person that's dealing with very repetitive work, like repetitive, but again, for like fulfilling work, not necessarily for like the creative type of work, the artsy type of work where you have to be innovative all the time, like journaling or writing something or making videos, but more so like consistent tasks, like maybe me making presentations or making a video, like consistent work. Similar in some, with some aspects. That's where pramrastam is just kind of good, making you kind of robotically just getting more energy to be consistent, having the discipline to keep going. I took some aniracetam. It lasted like 6 hours for me. Is this normal? What did it feel like, Josh? I'm curious. So Bag says, I handle marketing strategies for working tirelessly for e-commerce. Most days I feel tired and don't feel like I put my thinking hat making data-driven / communication PowerPoint. Any suggested stacks? Bag 747, are you exercising? I'm trying to understand. Most days you feel tired and don't feel like putting on my thinking hat. Okay, that makes sense. Bag, I kind of have to know more in terms of just like with you, diet, meds. It's really hard to, really hard just to answer that. Jaden from Mumbai, Calvin Ord from the US. Josh Williams says, I noticed Lion's Mane helps with mental fatigue. Yeah, especially when you're really stressed. Almost like the more stressed you are, the more noticeable it is. Same with rhodiola, of course. Harish says, what made you get into nootropics in the first place, and how was your life changed since? Probably just from caffeine or coffee. The way I got into nootropics was just like most people are. When I was a teenager, I started to get into fitness. I was like 30, 40 pounds overweight, probably like 30% body fat, maybe 25 to 30% body fat. Everybody sees me and says, oh my gosh, it's so hard to imagine you being heavier. But I was heavier, so I started working out. Then I came across a pre-workout, which was called Super Pump 250. And I took the pre-workout, had a great workout, and just my mind was on another level. Focus, memory, ambition. I knew it was from the workout, but there was something in the pre-workout that made me just question what the heck it was. So I, again, just tried taking the pre-workout more and more and figured, I'm just different with this thing. What the hell is it? And then I analyzed the ingredients on it, and there was a bunch of really good nootropics, L-tyrosine, of course, caffeine, I think acetyl L-carnitine, some vitamin B. And yeah, I just kind of like deconstructed it. I remember I got caffeine pills, and I figured, okay, taking caffeine pills, it's not the same thing as taking the pre-workout. What's the difference? So I tried some of the ingredients in the pre-workout, and then just more interested in it. I took paracetam and centrophenoxine in my first year of university. Maybe I was like 16 or 17. And yeah, just that whole journey. It wasn't from like learning about a limitless pill. I had the incident with bipolar, but I was interested in nootropics even before that, because I mean, there's people who are just super sensitive to their states, I guess. I don't know. Don't know if that makes sense, but like, just you knowing when you're off and when you're on, or when you're feeling good, you're not feeling good, just general, you want to be sharp all the time. And I always wanted to be in that state, which is why I just pretty much kept on chasing nootropics. But unfortunately, after the little incident with bipolar, I was just chasing the limitless pill like all the time. Like, what the heck is the next pill? Fortunately, I didn't really take risks. I was a bit grounded with it all, but that was kind of how it was. What did nootropics do for me? Because I don't know what I would have been like, I don't have a twin mic. Keep that in mind. It's a hard question to answer. More so it's just, if you met me 10 years ago, or I don't know how to answer that. Maybe somebody else can answer it for me. How do they change your life? I don't know. So do you have Instagram or something where we can text you? Yes and no. I have Instagram, but I admittedly don't like checking. I don't like social media. It's just, you almost like when you're on social media, you have this judgment of, should I be posting this? Should I not be posting this? It takes up too much mind space, right? So the good news is, if you message me on Instagram, I will respond eventually. So do that, Instagram. But better thing is Patreon. Patreon, I at least check daily. And then YouTube comments, that's free. Just go on a random video and just write up a comment. And yeah, more than happy to respond. I had my email address in the about section before, but I'm not going to post it there. Probably not. I mean, like, the problem, for those of you who don't know, with YouTubers, I don't consider myself like really like a YouTuber. The channel's not that big. But when you make too many things public, you really get chased by people trying to earn your business. I'm often being contacted by people wanting to edit my videos, do my thumbnails, work on my SEO, right? So I mean, just hope that's helpful just in you understanding the best way to communicate, which is probably through the YouTube comments, right? What made you get into, okay, Anaras time was very anxiolytic. Yeah, Josh William, that's exactly what you should expect. I exercise every day. Call Cortex Labs. Next time we're on a live stream, bring Cortex's Labs phone number. I'll call, like, just be like, hey, we're on a live stream. You want to hop on? My viewers want to hear from you. What would he say? What stack are you guys talking about today? I want to talk about oxiracetam, acetyl L-carnitine. And do you have a website, Crititrace, and do you own a website to order I don't understand the question. Sorry, just don't mind rephrasing that. What's the newest nootropic you have been trying out? Josh William, a lot of people have been encouraging me to take L-Dopa, Mucana, L-phenylalanine, trying different dosages of vitamin B, and the racetams. More so it's not even like the newest racetam or the new nootropic, but it's more so just different stacks. I'm really enjoying that. I've been playing around with like dropping some of the adaptogens, adding them in, changing things on days when I'm sleep deprived, not sleep deprived. And like this like modafinil and phenylparacetam are kind of my go-to nootropics on different sort of days, whether it's a day where I'm just working more hours, sleeping less. Just when there's that day, then I can afford to be a bit more risky. If I have a day where there's a particular schedule laid out that I know kind of what tasks it involve, what kind of state I need to be in, then I'll be a little bit risk averse. So I wouldn't use those two. But then in terms of like the ratios and the balance of modafinil and phenylparacetam, I'm playing with that. I'm enjoying that. Like, I really enjoyed this past week using something like 100 grams of modafinil with 70 milligrams of phenylparacetam. And then the opposite, like the week before, I tried 100 milligrams of phenyl and like 50 milligrams of modafinil. And then you kind of get the mood boost and the good attention span that you would get with modafinil, whereas with phenyl, and then you get the phenylpirastime in terms of like the energy physically. And with phenylpirastime, it's like you're in this strange state of like nothing fatigues you. I can't explain it. You could just be like sitting behind your computer, working on tasks again and again and again. Like nothing can touch you. You just feel in this state of like, I can just keep on going. For example, that day, if you guys remember, we had a live stream like a couple months ago, and it was on for like 2.5 hours. And it was just so, I was on phenylpirastime and I took way too much. And I was just, we were just there and it just went like that, right? So it's just kind of strange. You kind of have too much energy, then you know what to do with. You're like the time, you're just, delusional when it comes to time. What do you think of theocrine? I love it. Damon, it's kind of like more of a mental stimulant than a physical stimulant. It's what I like about it, it's kind of like jitter free. You don't feel like the anxiety you can get with caffeine, but it's just not strong enough with caffeine. That one of the best things I like about it is that it's a mood enhancing nootropic, right? Prince Carter's World. I'm trying to understand what your little icon picture thing looks like. It's too small, but it looks like a guy with who's balding and has a beard on. Everybody else doesn't seem to have an icon or a little emoji, whatever you call. So the question, should you cycle off every 2 days with pramiracetam or more? Should you cycle off every 2? No, I would try for a couple weeks straight just to see how it works. Like a low dose, 300 milligrams, 2 to 3 times a day. The stuff's it's not that strong. Like phenylpirastime is strong, but that's the only one. I could told Sarah, I could you and him go at it. I wouldn't really know what to talk to that guy about. Like he knows so much more about like the pharmacology of nootropics. That would just be a conversation in which I would feel like I know nothing about nootropics, and I would just say to all my subscribers, yo, like follow this guy if you have questions about how this stuff actually works in the brain. I'm just the person like you want to know kind of the practicality of it. I think that's why people tune into my channel. Do you know a website to order nootropics in Europe? Somebody posted that on my Patreon. You can go check it out there if you're willing to invest $3. Then I think it's over there. If not, I can redirect you to one of their comments. What do you guys think about? Okay, I'm going to skip that question. Big drip only. I have around 30% body fat. Big drip only. If you're willing to follow on my Patreon, I will happily help you through that process. But only if you let me. Only if you take before and after pictures, because that would just like hella inspire me. Because I've been there. I hired a fitness coach kind of when I was on the chubbier side, and they kind of helped me through decreasing my calories, understanding macros, where to implement cardio, where to not. Big drip only if green magnitude is not, and NO is not really going to help you with fat loss. Arguably a thermogenic would. Something like caffeine is going to help you with your heart rate, help you with your metabolism, and most importantly, it's going to help you with your appetite suppression. So things like that, which can encourage you to go throughout the day, staying away from fatty foods, foods with too much sugar, like bad sugar, and good practices like before bed, making sure you obviously don't binge eat, something like egg whites, maybe a salad. Caffeine goes well. Big drip only, just, when it comes to fat loss, man, just stay safe, keep at it, just be consistent with it. Diet really over everything, unfortunately. It's almost like you can diet down in most cases to like a good 20% body fat for most people. And then between 15 to 20% body fat, that's when it's not only diet, you gotta, most cases you gotta start exercising. If not, you are just, if you don't, like if you're losing weight beyond like lower than 15% body fat just strictly through diet, then you're most likely going to lose muscle, which is the problem. What the heck is that noise? Dana? Is that noise? Is that you? Yeah. Caffeine goes well for physical stimulation. Prince Carter's World, a notorious noise. Man, it's cool because I'm not the only one who's up at this time of the day, which is awesome. What the hell are we doing here? At least we're being educated in some way, shape, or form. Caffeine goes good for physical stimulation. Any other alternatives? I'm currently the fittest dude in my class and I want to maintain. I think that is really inspiring. But wanting to maintain isn't really that inspiring. So I think we have a more exciting goal. Why not be the fittest dude in your whole school? So as far as physical stimulation, phenylpastime is really good for like long workouts. I find like leg day, full body day if you miss a workout. Physical stimulation, caffeine. You can add some L-tyrosine. There's this really nice effect when you add L-tyrosine and caffeine together. Jamal says, "Hi Mike, it's Alex from Romania here. We talked on Skype. Your tips really helped me. I got L-tyrosine. I noticed it makes me depressed at low doses, but at high doses, 1 gram, it's awesome." Alex from Romania. Okay, I remember you. We took the call for like first thing in the morning for you. If you're the same guy, like you have like yeah, okay, I remember. Young guy, you're sharp. You kind of explain your job a little. It's some sort of like analyst, stocks or trade or currencies or something. But yeah, 100% Jamal. I remember you. And that's, yeah, thanks for letting me know. I didn't know the tips helped you. It's funny, like I'll do these calls with people and then you just never know if it's helpful. I try to just be intentional that way. So I'm really glad you mentioned that the call was actually helpful for you. I remember you writing a bunch of things down, and that was good. And that's sometimes just the best way to, as you write things down, we're more likely to come back at it. And yeah, just nice to get a visual. So with L-tyrosine, somebody else mentioned that as well, that with low doses, it could make you feel a bit bad. Not that there's a crash, but you just feel like a little bit off. It's almost like it's getting you up a little bit and then you just fall back down, like jumping off of a trampoline. And that's kind of what I don't like about a lot of the nootropic blends having very low doses of L-tyrosine, like Quailiamide or even like Alpha Brain, because we don't know, they're not transparent with the ingredient label. 1 gram, it's really good, especially if you're fasted, not taking caffeine. I mean, it's not even like overkill too. I think for me, there wasn't too much of a difference when taking like 750 milligrams to 1 gram, even 500 milligrams. But I really like taking 1 gram pre-workout as it just lasts longer and you just really get a nice focus. So L-tyrosine, that's one video which is doing well. It's at like 4,000 something views and it's relatively new. I'm going to put that link over here again, guys. If you haven't watched that video, then make sure you watch it, because if you haven't tried L-tyrosine, then I would highly recommend it. Big drip only. Are you interested in trying microdoses? Not today. What do you think about uridine? Jamal, I took uridine twice today. It acts similarly to like choline, and just it's going to help you with your general concentration. You'll be able to go kind of have your workday and end your workday being less fatigued, tired, frustrated, bad mood, just, mental energy, a little bit better memory. So it's good that way. I would say if you have CDP choline or alpha GPC, it's not necessary, and that is enough. Josh William, adrafinol 300 milligrams stacked with 75 to 100 milligrams. Phenylpastime is like a match made in heaven for me. Yeah, that's very cool, Josh William. It's just a matter of, making sure that you're like, we always feel good for one day and we notice good results one day. But then I'm always asking that question of like, okay, yes, modafinil, I can have one very productive day, but if I had this same day, 30 days straight, what would the results be at the end of the day, right? Because you don't always need to have, like, some days you need to be proactive, productive, and then there's some days where you just need to, do it with kind of like a different perspective sometimes, just to help you get ahead, right? Reflect, refine, make things better. Harish says, yep, your answer makes sense with regards to being sensitive to nootropics. I've experimented with nootropic combinations in the past, but I've struggled to find a stable stack. What stack do you take daily? Oh my gosh. The whole thing is in my Patreon, and I even mentioned how I would decide if I took phenylpastime or modafinil. I'm going to do my best to say my stack. It looks like this. I'm going to take you through in terms of morning. Morning, I take my cytomel for my thyroid and my Wellbutrin. I take vitamin D. I take a pre-workout, which typically has like vitamin B, 300 milligrams of caffeine, almost a gram of L-tyrosine, beta-alanine, creatine, citrulline, malates. I'll take some lion's mane, piracetam and pramiracetam, and then throughout, and then what else is kind of important because there's so many new nootropics. Around 2 o'clock and around 6 o'clock, I'm having rhodiola, lion's mane, bacopa, and ashwagandha. I'm having the racetams and I'm having Nupept. And those are especially important on days where I'm just working more stressful kind of work that I'm going to get fatigued by. But the doses are really important in terms of if you're just uncertain about the doses, general good rule of thumb is just to follow what's on the bottle. It's right in most cases. Quailiamide is pretty cool that way. Like when they talk about like rhodiola, bacopa, like the doses are good. Only thing is they've underdosed L-tyrosine, which I mentioned, or I think they have N-acetyl L-tyrosine, which I'm not that a big of a fan of. It's kind of like the overhyped version. Big Drip only says, thanks. I'll look into getting into your Patreon. Oh, yeah. I mean, being 15 years old, like, don't sweat it, man. Like, I mean, I get it. Every dollar counts. And what's there? It's just my nootropic stacks. You probably it has my workouts there, but for you, 30%, if you're 30% body fat, it shouldn't be too difficult to drop to 20%. Go on bodybuilding.com, look at some of the forums, learn about, counting your macros, stuff like that. Buy a food skill. That's pretty much a game changer. Prince Carter World says, I want to say that personally, your work is legendary. You are really blessing the world with your knowledge. Oh my gosh, isn't that kind of you? Yeah, somebody told me that we can make this thing really do well, right? And I appreciate that. Ahmed says, drinking a good electrolyte eliminates the headache and crash. People get after modafinil. Just use a good electrolyte without sugar. Ahmed, please let us know specifically what electrolyte are you referring to? Ahmed says, can you talk about your experience with pramiracetam? How long does it take to build up in the system? And more. I took 300 milligrams 2 to 3 times a day. And I noticed it more when I was taking piracetam. I don't even know if I noticed it working because, again, I was working not 14-hour days, maybe like 10 to 12-hour days. And specifically, it's like the discipline pill, like repetitive tasks, boring tasks, tedious tasks. You really just take on that mindset of, kind of like be in the moment in terms of everything you do now, like the repetition is going to pay off, being really connected to the end goal, having the discipline, the willpower, like that whole like reward mechanism going on in your brain. Alpha GPC makes me feel so thirsty. I'm so thirsty right now, but I was talking to my dad about this. Doing a live stream is like the hardest thing ever. It's so different than making a presentation because at least with the presentation, you're talking to somebody, you're getting your feedback, you're communicating with them, you're looking at their like nonverbal cues which tell you what is going to resonate with them and how to communicate with them. Whereas it's like with a live stream, it's like, you just got to like talk. It's almost like the more words you can ramp off, the better, because I literally can see from me taking a 10-second break of drinking water, I get people like tune out. So I know what you're going through, man. But hey, until you've tried a live stream, you don't even know what it's like to be dehydrated. Josh Williams, you're right. I've been awake since 2 hours and I've already drank 2 liters of water. Kevin L, what's the best nootropic? Don't mind. Anytime I see a general question like that, I always just give a silly answer, which is on my mind, and it's not even the real one. So right now I'm going to say phenylpiracetam, but probably just because we're talking about it. You take piracetam every day? Yeah, most days, yeah. 330 days of the year, maybe 320 days of the year. It doesn't do too much, which is the thing. If piracetam did a lot for me, I would take it less, right? Can you leave this on your channel so I can finish watching it when I wake up? What time are you waking up? Because it wasn't my intention to leave it on. If I leave this thing on, I think it's going to hurt the video, the SEO of the video I just posted. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I'll probably leave it on. If I didn't expect, I don't know. Do people actually watch the live streams after the finish? Because I thought the whole point of a live stream was just that, you can interact, but because I guess I don't post too much long form content, maybe it's good. Ahmed says, Josh Williams says, I like to be the best me I can be every day. That is what it is. Why be anything else? Ahmed says, I use this one keto electrolyte. It's identical to the Dr. Berg electrolyte, which is cheaper, 1,000 milligrams of potassium plus trace elements mix. Yeah, potassium is very underrated. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's one nootropic that I could be taking more of. There were particular foods I remember that were really rich in potassium. For anybody that's holding too much water through sodium or less, like drinking too little water, just try having a lot of potassium and notice like your cuts will be just very defined, like your vascularity. It's really cool. There was a particular time when I was really being intentional on potassium through foods, and yeah, just generally felt very healthy. Wasn't as hungry, felt like a good, clean energy throughout the day, like eating superfoods like quinoa, like that kind of thing. I've noticed that, Josh William, I've noticed that electrolytes help get rid of mental and physical fatigue and helps me get rid of or avoid headaches. Yeah, it's especially important, like kind of prior, like taking some electrolytes prior to a workout, or even some sea salt, some lemon juice, something like that. So when do you stop taking it? Because pramiracetam builds up in your system. That's what the reviews say, and then that's when the racetam start working. Ahmed, okay. If something builds up in your system, that doesn't mean that you stop taking it once it's built up. The point is that when it's built up in your system, that's the point when you're getting it. It's in the most kind of in like the best, the best amount you can pretty much get, to the point where now you've hit that dose. You can afford, you've hit that kind of threshold. You can afford to miss a day of use and, still kind of have it in your system and it working and feeling the benefits from it. So when do you stop taking it? I still kind of don't understand the question. If you can just repeat it, or let me know more about what you're trying to do, and if you're a student, because that would just give you some insight. How long have you been taking it? Pramiracetam, 6 years. Like if it was 7, then I wasn't taking it consistently for that year. I think consistently maybe 4 years, but 7 years, 6 years. If on those 3 years, maybe it was like 6 months of the year I would use it. For example, a best nootropic for memory, Bacopa is good, and paracetam and choline is good. I take Extend Hydrosport for electrolytes. Extend. I bloated a little bit when I took Extend. I don't know why. I just kind of felt a little bit uneasy, but it would also depend. It was when I took it during my workout. And yeah, what did you guys think of the last video with respect to On It Alpha Brain, which I got a new video editor, so I'm curious to know how you guys like that, like the color correction and things going on. Well, what's going on with me in terms of stack? Yeah, if you haven't tried phenylparacetam, then I'm surprised. I talk about it so much on the channel. It's one nootropic that what's good is it seems to work for most people. Like if you don't notice anything from it, that's pretty surprising. I like it in the powdered form, just a little bit under the tongue. Same with Noopept. And enjoyed everyone's company here. Don't mind just giving this thing a like as we hop off so we can get to 20 likes. And appreciate the engagement, guys. I'll look forward to seeing you all soon. And man, we got comments from so many great people here. Sinzel, Mof Blaster. We got Josh William, Damon, Calvin, Harish, Victor, Bag747, Julius Van Dyke, who left Big Drip Only, the JP Stream, who just came and says eat healthy and leave those substances, and then he leaves. Harish, Tulsera, Avery, Karan Singh, who left Ovidio, Avery, Tulsera, Amar, Fabi Bakar. Oh, you asked that question? Yeah, okay, I did answer that question. Anthony A. I asked you to reword your question. You didn't reword it, so that's on you. Motasam. Who else did I miss? Oh, Neil. Yeah, you hopped off. That's your fault. Henry. I feel bad if I missed anyone, but in essence, I want you guys to know that I appreciate all you. Ahmed Khan Blue, Critisher. You guys are great. That was a good live stream. I'm going to do more of these in the middle of the night because I expected like 5 or 6 people to come on, but really enjoyed it. And don't forget to tune into my next video. I haven't made any video that I know I'm shooting soon, but I'm going to probably release one on nootropics to get out of a slump. If you have any other ideas as far as next video, then just post it somewhere, maybe the community, maybe on any of the videos. But nootropics to help you get out of a slump. I'll talk about nootropic stacks, kind of what's been my experience like, and hopefully that can help some of you guys out. And I will see you guys soon. Take care. and cheers.